Earlier this year, popular tech reviewer MKBHD sent shockwaves through the car community with his scathing review of the Fisker Ocean. "This is the weirdest car I've ever tried," he proclaimed, calling it the worst car he'd ever reviewed. The internet erupted with strong opinions, with some speculating that the video could doom the entire Fisker company. But here's the kicker: Fisker was already navigating rough waters. The harsh review might have added fuel to the fire, but the company had been facing significant challenges long before MKBHD's critique. Fast forward a few months, and Fisker has filed for bankruptcy. This drastic move suggests the company might be on the brink of shutting down for good unless a major miracle occurs soon. And just like that, Henrik Fisker seems to have presided over the downfall of not one, but two companies. So what exactly went wrong for Fisker this time around? Let's take a deep dive into the potential reasons behind Fisker's unfortunate situation. In 2022, things looked promising for Fisker. Their first car, the Ocean SUV, was set to be built by Magna, a well-known and experienced auto parts manufacturer. The ambitious November 2022 production target seemed achievable for Magna, which builds cars for major brands like BMW. However, an eagle-eyed employee at Fisker spotted a potential blind spot. They worried that Fisker wasn't prepared for the myriad challenges that come after a car hits the road. It was like building a beautiful house without planning for plumbing emergencies, leaky roofs, or termite infestations. The employee felt Fisker was too focused on just getting the car out the door and into production, neglecting the crucial after-sales phase. This lack of foresight, they worried, could spell trouble down the road. This concern was particularly striking because Henrik Fisker had already walked this path before. A decade earlier, his previous company, Fisker Automotive, launched a hybrid sports car to much fanfare. While they delivered cars to a few thousand customers, the company quickly crumbled under a cascade of problems. Customer complaints about car quality that tarnished their reputation, a battery supplier going bust which crippled production, and even a freak hurricane that sank an entire ship full of their vehicles. The employee's warning about Fisker repeating past mistakes proved tragically accurate. Just 1 year after starting deliveries of the Ocean SUV, Fisker filed for bankruptcy. Their downfall seems directly linked to the very issues the employee raised: a lack of preparedness for the challenges beyond just building the car. They were so focused on getting the Ocean SUV out the door that they neglected to build a robust customer service infrastructure, develop a reliable supply chain for parts, or establish clear protocols for handling warranty issues and repairs. The result? Fisker found themselves in a familiar predicament, unable to sustain the momentum needed to keep the company afloat. This story serves as a stark reminder of the importance of looking beyond the initial product launch and planning for long-term success. This person wasn't alone. Dozens of others who worked at Fisker have echoed this sentiment, nearly all of them on the condition of anonymity because they feared losing their jobs or retaliation from the company. Those conversations informed stories on the Ocean's quality and service problems, Fisker's internal chaos, and decisions from Henrik Fisker and his co-founder, wife, CFO, and COO, Gita Gupta Fisker, that dragged the company down. Most of them also spoke up about how the lack of preparedness ran deep and permeated almost every division of the company. Imagine a house built with beautiful materials but with electrical wiring that sparks and flickers, leaky pipes that threaten to burst, and a foundation that hasn't quite cured yet. That's what these former employees described: a car with a gorgeous design and promising features but riddled with problems beneath the surface. The software powering the Ocean SUV was a prime example. Think of it as the brain of the car, controlling everything from the infotainment system to the driving experience. This crucial software was, according to these insiders, underbaked, not fully developed and tested. It contributed to the delay of the launch of the SUV, pushing back the initial November 2022 target. It even kneecapped the very first delivery in May 2023. Fisker had to take back the car shortly after handing it over to the excited customer to troubleshoot the software issues and then redeliver it. This wasn't exactly the dream start Fisker was hoping for. A similar thing happened when the company made its first deliveries in the US in June 2023, when one of its board members' SUVs, a high-profile customer, this desperate sales push went beyond the sales department itself. Stories emerged of employees from completely different departments being pulled in to help pitch the Ocean, a move that highlighted the company's internal desperation. Many customers who did take delivery of their Ocean weren't exactly thrilled. They'd encountered a nightmarish list of problems. Sudden power loss that left them stranded, braking systems that behaved erratically, and software riddled with bugs that caused all sorts of issues. Even the key fobs, a seemingly simple piece of technology, malfunctioned, leaving some owners locked out of their own vehicles or unable to unlock them. These problems weren't isolated incidents. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, a government agency tasked with ensuring vehicle safety, opened a staggering 4 investigations into the Ocean. Part of the blame for these issues fell on Fisker's choice of suppliers. Some suppliers, it seemed, struggled to provide parts that met Fisker's quality standards. This wasn't helped by Fisker's lack of foresight. They hadn't built a proper buffer of spare parts. The consequence? The people fixing the cars faced immense pressure. They were forced to scramble for parts, and according to some employees, this sometimes led to desperate measures. There were whispers of parts being plucked not only from Magna's production line in Austria, but even from Henrik Fisker's own car. Fisker, of course, vehemently denied these claims. Throughout this ordeal, lower and mid-level employees went above and beyond to support the growing, albeit slowly growing, customer base. One particularly dedicated employee even took a customer call on their personal cell phone while attending a funeral. This wasn't an isolated incident. Other employees recounted stories of colleagues working while at the hospital, a clear sign of the intense pressure and dedication they felt towards the company and its customers. Many of these employees sacrificed their personal lives, working long days, nights, and weekends. The strain became so immense that at least one hourly employee filed a potential class action lawsuit against Fisker over these excessive work hours. Fisker was simply overwhelmed. They admitted they didn't have enough staff to handle customer complaints, so they pulled in employees from other departments to answer phones. Some ex-employees even say they're still getting calls from customers today. They also struggled with basic tasks like keeping track of money. Somehow, they misplaced around $16 million in customer payments. On top of that, they were late filing important reports to the government several times. These delays actually helped one of their biggest lenders take control of the company later on. Despite all these problems, Fisker is still bragging about how quickly they got their car, the Ocean SUV, out there. They say they did it twice as fast as most car companies. However, they don't mention all the issues that led to their bankruptcy filing. They blame some economic problems, but that's not the whole story. Maybe the bankruptcy process will reveal more about what went wrong. During this process, Fisker will try to pay off its debts, which they say are somewhere between $100 million and $500 million, and figure out what to do with their assets, which are worth between $500 million and $1 billion. Fisker tried to be like Apple, which outsources most of its manufacturing. The problem is, when a company does that, it doesn't have a lot of assets to sell or borrow money against if things go bad. And that's exactly what happened to Fisker. Fisker's problems rippled outward. The company that built their car, Magna, stopped production of the Ocean and lost a lot of money because of it. It's also unclear what will happen to Fisker's future. Cheaper electric car models they were planning. A company that was helping Fisker design these future cars even sued them. Fisker says they'll keep a small crew working to handle basic things like customer service and paying bills while they try to sell off their remaining assets. Other electric car startups in trouble recently did manage to sell their things to other companies, so there's a chance Fisker might too. No matter what happens next, though, one thing is clear. Fisker wasn't prepared for the challenges of selling a car that had problems. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments section.